So I know there are a lot of critics of the student debt cancellation and the universal free college, saying that that would subsidize wealthier families. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, it would very minimally subsidize wealthier families. The vast majority of the people in this country who go to public colleges and universities are not wealthy. They're mostly working class, middle class people. Second of all, what you should know, and what I believe, is that the idea of free public education, which came about over 100 years ago, and Iowa, by the way, was one of the leaders in that. What people said, working class people said 100 plus years ago, they said, you know what? All children should have the opportunity for a free public education. And that should be from first grade through 12th grade, right? And everybody kind of agrees like that. Well, every state in this country has free public education. But the world has changed in recent years. 40 or 50 years ago, if you graduated high school and you had a high school degree, the likelihood was that you can go out and make it into the middle class. There were good jobs available. That world has changed. And right now, by and large, with some exceptions, people need a higher education in order to go out and get the new jobs and decent paying jobs that are out there. So we have got to rethink what public education means. And to my mind, that means now K through college. Free public education means K through college, tuition free. And in fact, we have gone further and make it easier for working class and lower income students to graduate college debt free. That is what I think this country desperately needs. Second point, this is not a radical idea. Do you know how much it costs to go to college in Germany right now? You know? Nothing. Not a radical idea. Scandinavia, they actually pay you to go to college. All right? Not a radical idea. Third question is, do you know how much it costs to go to the University of California or the City University of New York 50 years ago? How much did it cost, do you know?
No.
Virtually nothing. So what does it cost to go here now? How much do you pay in tuition?
Well, I'm out of state,
Right.
so I pay about $20,000 a year in tuition.
So how does it happen that 50 years ago, people were able to go to college for free or almost free, and now they're paying $20,000 a year? So this is not a radical idea. It's an idea whose time has come. And I'm happy to tell you that all over this country, you're seeing governors and mayors moving forward in this direction. So.
Something I've also wondered about free tuition is I know a lot of people who can't afford to go to college might spend their time in a community college or
Right.
go to a trade school. Do you worry about the sheer volume of people who would then enroll in colleges and universities?
No, the entrance levels remain the same. It's not, we're not saying open the doors, anybody wants to come in. You're going to have to show that you have the ability to carry a student load, a college load, and that you have the desire to do so. One of the things that I heard this morning from some of your adjunct professors is that many of the students here are working. They're working one job, two jobs, occasionally three jobs. Now, I don't know how you can focus on your education if you're working, 2 or 3 jobs. That's not really what this moment in your life should be. What this moment in your life should be, you're gonna have plenty of time to work, believe me. This moment in your life is to study and to get an education. So that is what my proposal would do. It would say to young people, this is your moment to study, and if you can get accepted into the college of your choice, if you go to a public university, public college, it is tuition free.
And I know originally in regards to student debt, you did have a proposal to cancel interest rates on
Right,
those
that's right.
loans, but now you're proposing
Right.
to just completely eliminate student
Yes.
debt. Would you maybe like to speak to that policy shift?
Sure. One of the challenges that all of us face in society is we live in a very complicated society. Everything you do, you got to fill out 14 forms, and it changes every day. And I think ultimately the simplest and most effective way of dealing with the $1.5 trillion in student debt, which has hit your generation or an older generation, is to say we're going to cancel that debt completely. Now, why do I do that? For a start, many people in the millennial generation were promised. They were said, if you go to college, you're going to be able to go out and get a decent paying job. Well, as a result of the Great Recession of 2009, that turned out not to be the case. So what you are finding is a situation where people were told they should go to college. They went to college. They're leaving school $50,000, $100,000 in debt, and yet The jobs that they are able to get are not paying them particularly well. I mean, I just talked to some of the adjunct professors. I can't believe the low wages and the low benefits that they are receiving. And that's true all across the board. The younger generation, the millennial generation, has the distinction, unless we change it, of being the first generation in modern history to be poorer than their parents, have a lower standard of living. That means they leave school with more debt, they have more debt. It will be harder for them to get decent paying jobs than their parents, and it'll be harder for them to buy their own home, which is kind of a down payment on wealth. That's the reality. And I think it is absolutely fair to give that generation a fair shake, a fair start, to forgive those debts. Now, people say, my critics say, is, well, you know, it's a lot of money, and we are. If you combine the college program that we have, free tuition, with the cancellation of student debt, it is about $2.2 trillion over 10 years. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But let's remember that when Wall Street collapsed because of their greed and illegal behavior, we provided trillions of dollars to bail them out. And I think what most Americans would say is that if we can provide trillions of dollars to bail out the crooks on Wall Street who nearly destroyed the economy, we can cancel student debt.
So what made you want to shift policy?
Well, that's what. I wanted to make it simpler and clearer and more comprehensive.
Okay. And why do you think that your policy proposal is maybe better than Senator Warren's?
Well, I'm not here to argue. Senator Warren is a friend of mine, and she has her ideas, and that'll be for people to decide. But I think that what I like is, again, we live in a very complicated world, and I like simplicity, and I think most people do. So instead of filling out 100 forms in order to get into college, we're going to make it tuition free. Your income may go up in a year, your parents' income may go down. We make it simple and straightforward. Now the question is, can we afford to do this? And you know what the answer is? You're living in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. You got 3 people who own more wealth than the bottom half of the American people. We're spending $715 billion a year on the military. Yeah, we can afford. We gave $1 trillion in tax breaks, over $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and large private corporations. Yes, we can afford to do what I am proposing, and we pay for it. We pay for this program, by the way, through a tax on Wall Street speculation. This is not going to go on to the general taxpayer. It is a tax on Wall Street speculation.
Okay. And so in the last several years, you know, the Democratic Party, and especially its plans and, you know, its platform in relation to student debt has moved farther to the left along with some of your ideas. Do you think that like voters will continue to move more left on this issue?
Okay, I don't use the word left.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I know what the word left means. Because it sounds like we're talking about an ideology that's over here. If you look at the issues we are talking about, they are supported by an overwhelming majority of the American people. So it's not like, gee, I'm coming here and I have these wild and crazy ideas. These are ideas that the American people support. Let me go through them. 4 years ago when I came to Iowa, I talked about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. 4 years ago, that seemed like a radical idea. It's not a radical idea right now. 7 states have done it. And in 2 weeks, the United States House of Representatives will vote for will pass a $15 an hour minimum wage. And by the way, I would hope that the people of Iowa would demand that their 2 senators, Senator Grassley and Senator Ernst, come on board our legislation, my legislation, to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, because people can't make it on 10 or 12 bucks an hour. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the idea of public colleges and universities that we discussed. Polling suggests that most Americans think that is a very good idea. Third, I have talked about the need to make health care a human right, not a privilege, and that the United States should join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care as a right. Poll after poll shows that the American people, especially Democrats, support that idea, and I'm proud that other people are now supporting it as well. Fourth, climate change. Despite Donald Trump's believing that climate change is a quote-unquote hoax, but the scientific community knows that it is a deadly and dangerous reality, and that we have to move forward very aggressively to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. Issues like criminal justice reform, immigration reform, which I've talked about for years, are now widely talked about within the Democratic Party. But all of these ideas, these are not radical ideas. These are ideas that the American people believe in.